Bodhidharma, very often represented on the back of an elephant because he came from India, where already the martial arts existed in this country, and even before it existed in Europe, in Rome and Greece, with the Spartans and the Agoge. Bodhidharma was obliged to go to leave the country and to go to a new country to survive. He went to China, where he was welcomed in the Shaolin Temple. There, he started to develop a new technique of martial arts, the Shaolin Kung Fu, that he built from the teaching of the Indians, from India, with some other techniques practiced in this country. And it is how that the Shaolin Temple, that existed already before, started to be the center of the new Kung Fu, Tai Chi Chuan and other techniques developed in this time. The Shaolin Temple existed for many centuries, and they started to travel. Very often from China, some monks moved to Okinawa. Okinawa was not Japanese at all. It's very different, much closer to the Chinese people, and it is a place of purity and meditation. So they were very open to the teaching of the Shaolin monks. There, on this island, they started to develop a different style called Okinawa Te. The Shaolin monks started to have a lot of problems in China because of power, and in Okinawa they found a place without power, with people very simple, peasants, basic workers who practiced the martial arts of purity just for the pleasure of improving, of discovering something cool and magical. This island developed more and more through the centuries. The Okinawa Te. A big master, the master Itozu, was a big master of this teaching. And then he had as a disciple Funakoshi Gishin, who was selected later on to introduce the Okinawa Te to Japan. In Japan, because they didn't like the island of Okinawa, they refused the name of Okinawa Te, so it was called Karate, which means empty end, while Okinawa Te was the end of Okinawa. The disciple of Funakoshi Gishin was Shigeru Egami, who was my master. He developed the Shotokai karate, which was a style to go back to the origin of Okinawa Te. I worked also with Master Harada, who was a disciple of Shigeru Egami and was also my master. I worked also with Schneider, who was also a disciple of Shigeru Egami and a disciple of Harada. And he was also one of my masters, and he was also a master of Karate Shotokai.
Sensei Werfi, who was also a disciple of Shigeru Egami and a disciple of Harada. Werfi was also one of my masters of Karate Shotokai.
Also the master Murakami Tetsuji, master of Karate, disciple of Shigeru Egami and Harada, and was also my master in Karate Shotokai. Then myself, Iji Sensei, and I worked with all those masters, and I will present here in a very, very old film of the 80s some work that was done at that time with the master Murakami in different workshops. My style is a bit different because I worked a lot also in a Shaolin temple. So I have the style of modern karate, pure Shotokai style as well, and I am a little bit tonic, I would say, for Shotokai, but basically the style of Murakami Tetsuji. Here you see one kata called Wasai Dai. Very often with the master Murakami, we used to travel to work in terrible places after a long journey, doing workshops to the seaside or here in the mountains, working in places quite hostile and very difficult to bear, and we had to do always the maximum, to give the maximum all the time. The positions in Shotokai are very, very low, and the legs have to be very, very powerful. Of course, the quality of the film is very weak because it's a very old system on a camera Super 8. At that time, the video cameras didn't exist yet, or were just appearing on the market and were really huge and big. Here we have a part of another kata called Chitte. A lot of works on the legs, jumping, a lot of form of tsaitobi, different tsaitobis, with moroashi, special techniques to kick with the two legs at the same time. On the tsaitobi, I have my personal record without stopping, 1 kilometer, 750 meters. If somebody wants to do better, you're welcome. In Japan, you have a lot of legends of people who were able to jump 5 kilometers every day. Personally, with my practice, I have a doubt. Because in Japan, a lot of stuff happened when nothing could record everything that was done. Again, we have Jitte, the 10 hands. Now we are in a camping by the seaside. A lot of that are part of the work with the master Murakami, but the master didn't want to be filmed. So I asked some friends to take films of myself during a workshop, during some practice, but we did our best to avoid to film the master Murakami Tetsuji, who didn't want to appear on film, so we respected his desires. Now we have the work Teki Shodan. The style is very fluid, very quick. It's very different from the karate Shotokan, typically Japanese, where everything is cut into pieces. It's a different way of understanding coming from the master Shigeru Igami, the first one to create really the philosophy and spirit of Shotokai. We have here MP. Another kata. Worked a lot with the master Murakami Tetsuji. The master was insisting a lot on quick movements and slow movements, on what is called the gore. You can see again that the positions, the zenkutsu, are very, very low. The legs have to be very, very powerful. Heian Godan, one of the 5 Heians created by the master Funakoshi Gishin, who had a style a little bit more strict and cold. He was a good pedagogue. He was a teacher himself in the school for children, and he was chosen in Okinawa because he was a good pedagogue, not so much because he was a good karateka. Here we are in another workshop in Serignan. In Serignan it was really tough. On the beach, tsaitobis and tsaitobis and tsaitobis jumping for such a long distance, morning and afternoon, about 10 hours or 8, 9, 10 hours of practice every day. Extremely intense, never stopping. Stretching a lot as well. And in the sand and with the sun, we used to start. That's the only image that we have with Master Murakami that we nearly don't see. It was a little mistake because normally we used to avoid to film him. Here we have the same exercise in Saitobis with the help of somebody to work differently. Stretching again. The lessons used to start at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and we used to finish at around 8, 9 o'clock. Look at the people. How many people coming for one workshop? Today, this desire of people to learn and to practice has disappeared. Today, when a master teaches, you have 10, 20 people. At that time, a lot of people wanted to work, to improve, to practice more and more. A lot of work was based on irimi, how to dodge, how to plunge on the attack, even if it was painful and that sometimes we were receiving a punch. And again, katas and katas and katas. Pushing you to the maximum until at one point you couldn't sweat anymore and your tongue was becoming very thick in your mouth. And then when you could go drinking at the end of the workshop, you started to sweat again because you were completely dry, pushing you to the almost limit of your body and starting again next day without stopping. We have the work that we practice very often in this school of Midare, which is a way of dodging opponents when you have 1, 2, 3 or even 10 around you. This work is indeed very intense. Half a second late and you have 10 punches on your belt from everywhere at the same time. Katas and katas again, never stopping, all the time working. Never any time to rest. Perfect movements were always asked by the master. Here you still have the work of Midare with just one partner, where you have to plunge on the attack of the other one, to take the initiative, to control, to dance with the other one who wants to kill you. We have the work of Midare, as I said before, based on the art of dodging with the attack of 10 people at the same time, making a big circle around you, and you must find the way out. So when you look at it like this, it looks a bit chaotic, but your spirit must fill the hole in the circle. The first one who is attacking is opening a little door where you could dodge and go out of the circle and push the one who attacked in the center. And when everybody is attacking, they are attacking on the one who was part of the circle, and you are outside of the circle. It's an utmost exercise of concentration, trust in your abilities, timing, and courage, because if you are wrong, it's extremely, extremely painful. If you were caught in the center, you could stay on the floor. Again, work of jumping and working on the legs, because the legs have to be very, very free in Shotokai or with the master Shigeru Igami. Ura Mawashigiri. The films, of course, are very, very old and are based on me, as some friends were filming me. So I'm sorry to say that very often you see mainly my person when I was young and tonic. That's the technique of the fan. You run behind somebody, giving a lot of kicks, following all the time somebody who moves back. And you go on him, kicking very quickly and running after him or her. Dodge and sweeping the leg. That is the work of Murashi, that is to say, 2 kicks at the same time. And you can notice it goes very high. I was able at that time to jump above the head of somebody when I was running and kicking like this, without touching him, of course. You can see that it goes extremely high, more than 2 meters high. That was the daily practice in the Shotokai of Egami or Murakami and the other masters. That is Sozokugeri. That is 2 kicks at the same time on the sides, both sides. After the death of Master Murakami, I was the founder, with a good friend of mine called Adam Prince. I created the IKDS. That was to protect mainly the life of the widow Murakami, who was left alone with a kid of 5 years old. So I created this association, IKDS, with the help of my friend, who were both equal, to protect the future of the family Murakami. Unfortunately, the story is the story. Once you have power, and money, people were just crazy. It started to be absolutely dark and disgusting, and after being the leader of Europe for a long time, I decided just to go away and to disappear. I started to practice only to people I met and with whom I was sure that they wanted to practice martial arts for something serious and not only for the money, for the power, for the system. Since I still teach in the world here or there, karate, kung fu, tai chi chuan, and every practice like this, but only to people who can demonstrate a dignified spirit, a real wish of improving the spirit and the techniques. Tai means the body. Waza means the technique. Then Shin means the spirit. The martial arts of today became without any Shin. I teach only with the presence of Shin. Tai and Waza are needed to manifest the Shin. Without this, there is nothing that can be done correctly. I am in peace with the masters I followed. I am in peace with my practice. I am in peace with my body. That are things that not everybody can say so. That was again Basai Dai. Here we're back to Saitobi's with Moroashi. The path of martial arts can be very cool if you go in peace with the philosophy and with the Shin of this practice. Without the spirit, it's only an empty gymnastic that will lead to war, chaos, and people manipulating to steal money, power, of sex. May your path in the martial arts be always in peace with your soul, with yourself, with your masters, and with your students. Thank you.